That night, the house was silent. The stillness was broken by a faint rustling sound. I woke up to it, and in an instant saw a man standing before me. He was dressed in black, with a mask covering his face. His eyes were sharp, and he held a gleaming knife in his hand. He quickly grabbed me, tied me up with thick ropes, and glared at me. Fear washed over me, but I knew I had to stay calm.
"Where's the money? Give me all the cash you have, or I'll stab you,"
he demanded. His voice was cold, but there was a tremor in it I couldn't quite place. At that moment, I thought about how lucky it was that my wife had decided to stay over at our daughter's house that night. Though fear gripped me, a strange calmness took over, and I found myself speaking evenly. I looked him straight in the eye and asked, "If I give you the money, will you spare my life?" The thief paused, his eyes wavering.
"Of course, but if you lie, I'll kill you."
He brought the knife closer, so close that I could feel its tip against my skin. I'm not sure where the courage came from, but I looked deeply into his eyes. Oddly enough, despite his mask, his eyes didn't reflect anger but rather despair and sorrow. I could see the hesitation clearly. "How long have you been at this? Why would someone as young as you resort to something like this?" I asked. He snapped back.
"Shut up and give me the money. You think I want to do this?"
His voice quivered and his hand, still holding the knife, trembled uncontrollably. It was clear that fear and pain had overtaken him. Taking a deep breath, I spoke calmly. "I've lived a long life, and I'm not afraid to die. But you're still young, you can stop this now. I'll give you the money, but take it as a loan. If this is your first time committing a crime, I'd like to help you walk away from this path." He stared at me in surprise, blinking rapidly. Then a single tear fell from his eye, sliding down over his mask. We sat there in silence for a moment, and even in the darkness, I could see his eyes filling with tears. Suddenly, he ripped off his mask and collapsed to the floor, crying.
"I'm sorry. Sir, I'm really sorry. My mother is gravely ill, and we've fallen behind on hospital bills. I was desperate,"
he confessed, his voice breaking. His words pierced my heart. Slowly, I walked over to my wardrobe, reached deep inside, and pulled out a gold ring and necklace I had hidden away. I also retrieved the money I had saved for my grandchild's tuition and placed it before him. "This is a loan. Pay it back when you can," I said gently. The thief wiped his tears and shook his head.
"No, I can't take this, I'll just leave."
I grabbed his hand and held it firmly. "If you walk out of here empty-handed, you'll leave as a thief. But if you take this, you can start over. Consider it a loan and ease your conscience." The young man covered his face with his hands and began to sob uncontrollably.
"Thank you so much, sir. I'll never forget this. I'll work hard and repay you, I promise."
I smiled and nodded. "That's all I ask. Now go and take care of your mother." He bowed his head several times in gratitude before leaving. I let out a deep breath as the door closed behind him. Perhaps my small act of kindness had changed the course of his life. If so, that was more than enough for me.